Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, just an opening note for everybody. We did have an organizational meeting that started at 6 o'clock. It was very short, so I appreciate everybody who did show up early. For the remaining folks that arrived afterwards, the agenda is over there, so if you have any questions about it, we can talk about it after the meeting. All right. At this time, I'd like to open up the floor for public comment.
Good evening. My name is Timothy Ferrioli. I live at 2579 Ronix Corners Road. First of all, I'm going to start off with this. The last organizational meeting, I made a statement that the 911 our phone calls go by the nearest station. And after reviewing the information, I found out that Schenectady had fixed their problems with 911. So if anybody is getting a different station than Schenectady, you can call Mr. Edwards here has a telephone number, the one that I gave to you. And he said that you call down there and they will tell you where the 911 is being routed to. But you shouldn't have any problems. That's what I've been told. So, on that note, I am reminded of a saying that everyone knows the difference between right and wrong. The hard part is doing what is right. We have to ask this question: is this board doing what is right for this township? So let us take a quick look at what the new board has done in the first few months of office. At the organizational meeting on January 5th, 2012, some major changes were made for political reasons with little thought of the town. The new town board has a right to make these changes. To that, there is no question, and I have no problem with changes being made. But with that said, I would like the following to be addressed by Mr. Joyce and the board, and if needed, investigated by an independent and accountable organization, and the outcome be publicly known. First, and to my surprise, Doug Thorpe was ripped off the planning board without the courtesy of a notification and was replaced by a person that has less experience than Mr. Thorpe. A person, while sitting chair, appeared to be anti-development, a person who is in part or wholly responsible for delaying a project for 3 years and only approved it because of the threat of a lawsuit. A person who acted very much like a misanthrope and had repeatedly said that she doesn't want changes made to this township. And lastly, the higher cost of legal and engineering service fees associated when this person was at chair. Now, I'm no friend of Mr. Thorpe, but I stand by him because he appeared to be neutral in his decision on the planning board. He knows the codes better than anyone. And for my research, Mr. Thorpe is an honest and character-driven person who has done a tremendous amount of good for this township and placed this town, its interests, and residents ahead of whatever political, environmental, or personal beliefs that Mr. Thorpe may have had. It is within the board's power to make these changes. But do not tell us that this decision is based upon what is efficient, as it is not. And that only leaves this decision as being political payback. Question is, did your friends think of the cost to us, the taxpayers, when they made this decision for you? I don't think so. I'm a libertarian. I believe that we, the renters of the property, as no one really owns property, the ones paying taxes, have the right to do with our land what we think is best for us without interference from anyone. Yes, I do believe there are a few limits, but to place a person who prevents landowners from doing what is best for themselves is idiotic for the growth of this township. Everything changes. Get over it. This is a political move, and if history is any indication, it'll cost this town dearly, but it'll cost the residents even more. And at that same meeting, you, Mr. Joyce, said, and I'm paraphrasing, let the past be the past. Let us move forward, bring the community together. That sounded dreamy, but within minutes, if not seconds of you saying that, Mr. Esposito tore into the previous administration, claiming at the end of December 2011 was an illegal meeting. Mr. Esposito made it sound like they were covering up wrongdoing while protecting elected officials. Mr. Esposito attacked officials by stating that anyone who's still on the board connected with this should at the very least resign. So much for moving forward. At one time not too long ago, a person would wait until all the facts are present before condemning a person or group of people. Now, I guess Mr. Esposito has no problem making it sound like criminal activity had happened. And the guilty party is Mr. Edwards, Ms. McLean, Melanie Whiteley, Mr. Morris Sr., frankly, anyone from the previous administration, all the while claiming he knows nothing about this issue. So one can conclude that Mr. Esposito is so filled with anger and hate, he can't see straight. Now let us take a quick look at Mr. Esposito. Why, 2010 or 11, Mr. Esposito, did you fail to obtain a proper permit for work done on your house? Was it to avoid paying higher taxes? You run your rig on weight limited town road, mainly to the town hall. You've received gifts from a person that I believe meets the definition of a New York State lodgment. You distributed confidential information to me verbally, explaining about the so-called out-of-town employee incident that had taken place during an executive session, and then showed me emails. Now, I hope that with an ethics inquiry into King Louis XVII, that no ethics violations would be found. Mr. Joyce, I could take hours going over the fabrications and distortions you've created on your website that Mr. Miller appears to own, and with the brochures that you and your friends use for your campaign. But I will start with two items that I believe need to be investigated, and then we'll go from there. First, you spent over an hour outside the polling place at the Potterkill Firehouse meeting and greeting people on election day with Mr. Miller and another gentleman. Do you remember what I said to you three as I passed in response to your query? Do you? Because I do. At my house, you, with Mr. Tusinski present, said, and I am quoting, that if elected, you, meaning me, would be paid $50 to $60 for every meeting you tape, or $360 so a year. Remember I said that it sounded a lot like bribery? And then when I said, I volunteered to do this, why the hell would I want to get paid? I know Joe does. Do you? Let us take a look at what else this board has done. First, this board is paying a person $10 more an hour, and we can increase that since he's now being paid an additional 15 something an hour than the going rate for a webmaster. Why? Why did the board hire a person whom the town fired for not doing what the town wanted him to do, and then as a petty person he showed himself to be, he held the town's website hostage? Why? Why did the board hire him and not advertise this or any other position filled at the organization? Why is it that the board, you and the board, singled out the town's clerk's office? Is it because of the belief that somehow Carol McLean gave the board position to her son-in-law? I thought Mr. Edwards and Ms. McLean were elected by residents and not appointed to their position. You said on the board, you said family on the board and working for the town is somehow a conflict of interest. I agree, this would be a concern if any laws were broken or any indication of wrongdoing were present. however, none. It's clear that you and this board are making it very difficult for the clerk's office by cutting back hours by 50%, yet all other employees remain the same. Why? And when Ms. McLean confronted you with this very simple and truthful observation, you painfully avoided eye contact while you stammered through an unbelievable and an unintelligible reason as to why. Clearly it is not efficient. Clearly it is not productive. Clearly it is not driven by common sense. But I'll tell you, it appears to be driven by bitterness and hatred for Ms. McLean, her daughter, hell for that matter, any remainder or reminder of the last administration. Without a doubt, the board has the power to do this and more. I mean, there is no argument. But we are asking you, only you, not Mr. Miller or anyone else, to explain why. Did you and your friends release confidential information against the Honorable Van Wert? Was this done to inflict damage to her personal and professional reputation in an effort to remove her as an appointed court clerk? A position that she has held since 1997, and to effectuate the outcome of the 2013 election? I mean, you have repeatedly placed lies about the judge and many others on your website with very few corrections. Why? Who owns it? Who runs your website? Mr. Bishop? Mr. Miller? You? Joe? Lou? Bob? Please enlighten us, little sirs. A real leader has honor. A real leader has character. A real leader is committed to doing what is right. But above all, a real leader places others above their own wants, others above their own desires, others above their own interests. You and the people to your left has shown to me you lack these leadership characteristics. With that said, I truly hope that you prove me wrong. I really and truly do. I will apologize to you right now. When you are right, I will stand with you. But when you are wrong, I will stand apart from you like I am now. I hope that you right now will explain clearly and directly, while looking at us, why you placed Pat Bishop in a position she clearly should not hold. Why are you paying her husband, Tim Bishop, a person that has been fired by the town, $10 an hour, more than a going rate? Inform us of who owns and runs that website you use to distribute your hate and propaganda. I mean, who is leaking to the Gazette confidential information? And is a reporter being compensated for these stories? I mean, I say this because a real reporter would contact those involved and find out their responses to allegations and then write the story. However, from my understanding, this is seldom, if at all, happens. And one has to ponder on why a reporter is not confirming information provided by a few specific people. Now, I just hope that this reporter is lazy, because the other option is dangerous to our way of life. So, please enlighten us with the truth. And remember that one of our famous presidents said about the truth. Stand with anybody that stands right. Stand with him while he is right. And part with him when he goes wrong. Abraham Lincoln.
Any more comments from the floor?
Mary Sue, 962 Durham Road. I was just wondering, I had seen an article in one of the Glens Falls newspapers Tuesday, February 7th. I'm just going to read it. It's a really quick one, and I was just wondering how this would apply to our town. It says copies of proposed resolutions and any related documents or reports to be discussed will now be posted on the City of Glens Falls website in advance of meetings of the Glens Falls Common Council and all other city boards and commissions that might be under Assistant to Mayor John Jack Diamond. The goal is to have documents posted 3 business days before each meeting. The city previously posted only meeting agendas, but the content is being expanded to comply with a new state requirement. Documents can be accessed by clicking on minutes and agendas. Information will be available at the city clerk's office in City Hall for those who prefer not to use computers. And I was just wondering if the town is going to get our get our website up to speed on doing things like this, especially with the agendas. So I just thought I'd pass that information on along. If anybody needs a copy, I'll get it to you. Okay, thank you.
I just have a question, Senator Jarzynski. Ms. Rowe, I'd like to know, when a person is released from a position, is the person given a reason or just shown the door? If someone was serving in some capacity, let's say in the previous administration, and then was notified on site, you are no longer working for us without a reason. Is that protocol? That's my question.
Any more thoughts, comments from the floor? All right, we'll close that part of the meeting.